Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the Cronkite Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. I got my man in the building, Donovan Sadiq, the Queen, Demetra K, and I am the 5-star general. Y'all been screaming for him, and I know his schedule tight, but I called him today. And the good doctor is in the building. My good friend, Southwest Regional Minister of the Nation of Islam, Dr. Abdul Halim Muhammad. My good friend, OG1 Reginald Gardner on his way. We're going to talk about some things tonight. Say, man, I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone and tell you thank you for taking the time out to tune in, because you know without you good people, we wouldn't have a show. And, man, we over a year. Man, I think about a year and 4 months doing this here. Who'd ever thought we would last that long? But on the home front today, I got a call from my good friend, one of the best principals I've ever seen run a school, Dr. Bertie Simmons. And she watching tonight because she told me, Monroe, you gonna win the election, but you gotta stop cussing. Doc, I'm gonna do the best I can do because I'm human. I'm gonna do the best I can do, but I got so much respect for her. And if you need to learn how to run a school, if you're a principal, just go in her inbox, man. And it's a bad little lady, man. 80-something years old and can run a school with her eyes closed, man. Donovan, what's happening, my friend?
Well, on the national front, as you guys have probably heard, and you guys should be hearing this, because you voted overwhelmingly 93% if you are a black woman, 87% if you're a black man, this administration into office to do absolutely nothing for you. So today, the Biden agenda, upheld by one man, but you folks out there, especially you guys that are from the civil rights era, keep telling us you need numbers. You got to have people to understand politics. You got to have numbers. One man stopped the whole Biden agenda, and he wasn't even a Republican. And now, as Congress recesses to go away, time is ticking. The midterms are coming up. And of course, what is the Democratic playbook? Well, we would do something for you Negroes, but, they're obstructing, as you see. We've been trying to get stuff done, and they just can't seem to pass it. Well, why didn't you do something in the first 100 days like you did for everybody else? You rushed all that stuff through. But now when we're asking for stuff and you need our votes, y'all got to vote for us this time because, they're obstructing. So as long as they obstruct, we can't get nothing done. Well, you know what? I know the Republicans ain't going to do nothing, but I know that. But you're not going to, excuse my language, Minister, you're not going to piss on my head and tell me it's raining. Demetra?
So hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday night edition of the War Zone. Hope you're having a great week so far. We ask that you share this live so that everybody else can get the information and join in on the conversation. As you guys can see here, we have Dr. Muhammad back with us, and we're going to be talking about a whole host of things that are going on. I guess it's going to be open as to what we're talking about. But Gary, what do you want to start off with?
I want to tell the truth. We have a serious crime issue in the city of Houston as well as Harris County. And if I'm correct, I think Harris County is bigger than 37 states in the United States of America. So it's a pretty big county. But the lie that's being perpetuated is that they don't know how to deal with this. They need community involvement. Well, the thing is that, hold on a second. I'm trying to get Reggie in. The thing is that we the community. Who better knows how to deal with gun violence than the three cats that's finna be on this program? Reginald Gordon, Dr. Abdul Halim Muhammad and Gary Monroe, hell of a team. We each have a different skill set. And we've gone into these rough neighborhoods and we have basically worked with the natives, didn't look down on them, didn't treat them bad, didn't handle them bad. And we've been able to stop gun violence in a lot of different neighborhoods for certain periods of time. So to say that they don't have a plan angers me, because they definitely do have a plan, because we all collaborated on it. The good doctor himself is the one that put the pen to the paper, fools. It's 21 pages and it can work in any neighborhood. The question is, why won't they use it? So I'm going to give the flow to my friend, because I love when he talk. I learn something all the time. Dr. Muhammad, what's going on, friend?
Well, first and foremost, let me greet you all in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you. And thank you once again, Brother Garrett, for calling me. This is a very, can I say, very difficult day for me. 20 years ago, this day, I was the witness and spiritual advisor of Shaka Sankofa Gary Graham, death row inmate 696. And today is the day that they executed him.
Trying to press the camera.
I was on the 30th day of a 40-day fast, and everything about the smell, the heat of that day, the sounds, the sights, the feel, the tension is almost like ingrained in my soul right now. So every June 22nd, I feel a certain kind of way. Shaka Sankofa Gary Graham was a 17-year-old who, the day he was executed, he was convicted as a juvenile, tried as an adult, sentenced to death. He received piss poor, you forgive my language, Donovan, piss poor legal representation, sent to death row. Witnesses, evidence proved that he was innocent, but they just wouldn't hear it. So you could be actually innocent and legally guilty. And that's what happened. So for me, this day is a very heavy day on my heart, because what I saw was a man evolve behind bars to literally be a revolutionary thinker, a man who went from illiteracy to being very erudite and well-read, very skillful in his language. And I saw, and what that put in my heart was that nobody's irredeemable. They just have to be put in circumstances in which you can redeem them. That doesn't mean that some of us don't need to be arrested and put away until we can be taught and civilized. But I can tell you something. You know, he said something to me while he was in the holding cell before they executed him. You know, he said that they try to make us fear death. You know, he said death complements life, and they try to make us fear death so that they can control us. So when you lose your fear of death, you're not able to be controlled. So at this particular point, I know that on the day that Shaka Sankofa was executed, this day, my wife was taking my then 17-year-old son to enroll in our alma mater, Hampton. The very day my 17-year-old son was enrolling in Hampton in our alma mater is the day that they were killing a man that was convicted as a 17-year-old. So my love for the streets is that any one of them brothers and sisters out there in the street have the potential to be a great thinker and a contributor to society, if only they have someone who loves them enough to look for God in them. As the scriptures say, blessed is the pure of heart, for they shall see God. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said they'll see God in everything, even the hand of Satan. So right now, the city of Houston, Harris County, Texas, and the United States is being plagued with violence. Gun violence in particular, homicide, robberies, rapes, all of that, they're being vexed because they will not listen to the people among them who have the answer and the solution, but they're just too proud. They throw millions and millions of dollars, and it's not getting any better. But to my people who are watching, I say this to you, you're the people of God. And the scriptures say that when the children of Israel rebelled against Moses and Aaron, God sent fiery serpents after them. And the most honorable Elijah Mama teaches us those are angry white people. What you saw in the Capitol, what you're seeing coming to America is civil war. And there's an old saying that when the elephants fight, the grass gets trampled. We need to get the hell out the way. We need to get out the way. But if you keep vexing these people, they're going to come. I know you got guns and you shoot back, and I understand that. But I want to remind you that when Barack Obama became president, there was a shortage of ammunition and guns. Because them white people, just like they believed the lie that Trump won the election, they believed that Barack Obama was coming to take their guns. And they believed that he was going to put them on FEMA camps. So those people were ready for revolution. They were buying guns at a record pace. You go look at the gun sales. There was a shortage of ammunition for a while. So you stockpiling, they stockpiling. And I'm going to tell you what, you need to follow divine guidance in the person of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan so that you and I can go through the Red Sea of blood and revolution that's about to take place. But we can talk about street crime if you want to. But I wanted to let you know that this day is a very, very special day to me. It impacted me greatly on that day. And I knew at that point, after 30 days of fasting, you know, you can almost hear insects crawling and tell what kind of sneakers they got on when you're fasting for 30 days. And I had fasted, I must have looked like I was 14 years old. And the truth of the matter is, and I'll close it at this, is that when I came out of that death chamber and came before those cameras, and lights hit me in my eyes, I said to the press, the international press that was gathered, we can't let this evil out of Texas. And somehow, some way, I saw that George Bush was literally, it was like a skull and crossbones fraternity initiation. He had to prove that he killed more people on death row. Only one killed more people on death row was Rick Perry, who was the longest serving governor. But George W. Bush on his way to the White House, that man is not the same man that used to hang out with black people and get high and party with us. Oh yeah, that's the story of George W. But when he went in that White House, he was a tool for them people. And that's why he looks like he does now, because he know Karl Rove and all of them, Dick Cheney, all of them used him. They used him. He was a front man. He was a stooge. And you look at him now, how he be hugging on Michelle Obama, and she be handing him a mint and all that kind of stuff. Man, look, man, that man ain't the same. For what he know what he did and how they used him and how he handed off the White House so graciously to Barack Obama, he wanted to get the hell up out of there. You know what them people set him up for? And that's why Obama was gray-headed now, and then he comes out later and says, I couldn't do as much as I wanted to do after Trayvon Martin was killed because of institutional constraints. What are they telling him? You talked all that crap on a campaign trail, buddy, but when we give you this briefing book every morning, you better know who we're killing and who we're not killing. And you know, by the way, Mr. Obama, you got 2 pretty daughters and a wife.
That sounds like something off.
Well, Doc, let me ask you a question, because I think everybody want to know. Everybody want to know. Is there a viable plan to deal with and help decrease street violence, gun violence in the city of Houston? Does that plan exist?
Yes, it does. And that plan was adopted by the Mayor's Anti-Gun Commission as a community plan.
So here's if it was adopted by the Anti-Gun Commission, and I think one day you saw me go to City Hall frustrated with the plan in hand. City Council has this plan. I took the plan also to Commissioner's Court. So all of the commissioners have it. The county judge has it. Why you think they don't want to use this plan?
But Gary, there's something I picked up, and I'll be honest with you, I think I got it from Reverend Jesse Jackson, because he also was with us on death row. He was one of the witnesses to Shaka Sankofa's execution, along with Al Sharpton and Bianca Jagger. But I think I picked this up from him. It's called Tree Shakers and Jelly Makers. The tree shakers, Sister Demetra, are the activists and the advocates. They get in your face, they get in your case. They don't say, they're not politically correct. They tell it like it is. They'll pull the cover up off of everything, and they don't care who it is. They're just trying to get it done. And then there are the jelly makers, who are either too scared, too lazy, or too well connected to shake the tree, but they will pick up the apples that the tree shakers have shaken. Now, what they don't seem to do is have the heart to take care of the activists by at least giving them a spoonful or cupful of some of the jelly that they made from the trees that they shook. And so my experience has been over the last 34 years of my ministry and advocating in this city is I don't know how many activists, fellow activists and comrades I have helped bury. We passed around, we only got GoFundMe now, but before it was like, we had to pass around a bucket to buy programs to get them a funeral and all that. People pay the price. They even if they work, they lose their jobs, their families break up, they go to jail, they get arrested. And in the end, all of these politicians, all of these jelly makers will come to the funeral and say all of these nice things. But I believe in getting flowers while you live. Do you know, and this is no exaggeration, this is actual fact, and I can back it up. Documentation always beats conversation. There's not a stadium deal in this city, with the exclusion of the soccer field, Brother Gary, that I wasn't at the table helping to advocate for us to get our fair share. Do you know we literally had made nearly 50 millionaires black millionaires in this city, and I don't know if they've ever given me a spoonful of jelly. Not that I did anything, because the Holy Quran says, and do no favor seeking gain. I did it because it was right to do. But I sat at the table with Mayor Brown, with Ken Lay of Enron, the NAACP, the Urban League, all of the movers and shakers, black movers and shakers, Bishop Dixon, all of us, we sat around the table and we talked to Les Alexander. The best one among them was Drayton of the Astros. That's a decent man. I say it on the record. He's a decent man, but that boy Les Alexander with the Rocket Toyota Center, that boy he was a double crosser from Jump Street. And McNair was just arrogant, because his deal was kind of with the county, so he really didn't care what them Negroes in the city had to say, because the Astro Domain is kind of a Harris County piece, But Drayton McLean was a very decent and honorable man and kept his word. So we had to, you know me, brother. In them environments, I have to be you, Gary. so I was. And a tree shaker. But the question is, what happened to the jelly makers? So my point is that often they don't want to give resources to people who make white people uncomfortable or who have offended them. And it may be part of the thing is I'm Muslim. It may be part of the thing I'm Nation of Islam. I don't know. I can't say that they haven't given me resources for hurricane relief or to take care of victims of violence. But when it comes to the Scott Street Peace Initiative, which is a template for the rest of the city, they have not funded it. It's a $900,000 budget, and then money goes to the program, not in my pocket. I got a congregation. They take care of me. I work for a man in Chicago. He takes care of me. I'm not trying to steal nobody's money. I got a PhD in urban planning. I make my own money. I don't need to rob out of somebody, some little poor box. The money was to go to, in the plan, is to go and to take some of these brothers and to pay them a stipend to go and learn construction trades. Pay them a stipend to get trained in de-escalation, conflict resolution, because they're the ones out of the hood that the people trust. It's no snitch rule. It's just that they go in there to de-escalate problems. So if there's a drive-by shooting, they go to the hospital. They go with the family. They go with the homeboys. They know what's getting ready to happen, because when these things happen, most of the time, these brothers on the street know who did it. They know who did it. They're not telling the police. They'll get them later. And then retaliation leads to retaliation. I picked up this line from a movie. I think it was called 22 Bullets or 22 Shots. And in it, there was a line. It was in all French. So I had to read, Demetrius. I had to stay awake during the movie. But he said in the end of it all, he was a hitman that was trying to get out of the game, and they tried to kill him, and he got revenge on everybody because he wanted to live with his family in peace. But in the end, he said, listen to these words: spilled blood never dries. So when one person is killed, you kill the family, you kill the community, you killed everybody that's connected to that person, and them people are looking for revenge, and you know something, unfortunately, anybody will do. I can't wait till Brother Reg can get on, because he can tell you about trauma-informed care. See, it's like this. We have to rebuild family life, because that's where morals and ethics are taught at the family level. We have to rebuild our families. Now, maybe because this is Pride Month or something, maybe they don't like heterosexual families, or where black men are employed taking care of their families. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I can't figure, because nobody can explain to me why. But a black man working BMW with his queen by his side, raising that family, this ain't the 50s, but it can still be that way. Black women are educated. Black man working. She don't mind that he got less education than him. He bring home that money. They working together. They sitting around the kitchen table. They making a budget. They keeping a roof over their head. So we have to rebuild family life. If the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the only religious leader I know that teaches that a nation can rise no higher than this woman. So if 75% of all single-family households are headed by females, what is that saying? Somebody made that baby. Didn't happen by osmosis. The Holy Spirit wasn't running around doing his thing. There was a man that did that. So why aren't the brothers in the house? And don't give me that old, I'm not trying to hear that old Candace Owen, Thomas Sowell crap, because in truth, they talk a good game. Academically, I agree with them on the academically, the destruction of the family, the welfare state, and all that. But none of them have a program. They condemn government handout, but none of them have a program that can match the Nation of Islam in rebuilding black men and black families. None of them. I'll put it up against all of them, because all of you are acceptable and funded by them. But give us the resources to do the job and hold us accountable. But you can't do it. You won't do it, and I don't know why. And the bloodshed is just increasing on the street, and these children are wilding out. You can't go to the gas station. You can't go to the grocery store. You can't go to the gymnasium. You can't go to the club no more. You can't do nothing without somebody busting up. They call it a mass shooting. 3 people getting shot is now a mass shooting. So I'm saying, look, I really don't want to talk about, look, let's do it like this. Every excuse that they're giving you as to why crime is increasing, let's say it's the truth, because I don't want to argue against their truth. I want to speak our truth. Our truth is that we need to rebuild community life. What is community life? Community life is what Gary Monroe did and I did in my young years with my two oldest sons and partially with my two youngest sons. I got more busy with my two youngest, but my two oldest sons was they were little league football, basketball, baseball, all that, and we were like a big community family. My children were not out on the corner with their football helmets begging for money. We had banquets. We sold candy. We did barbecues. We did dances. We did whatever we had to do to raise money so that our children, freshmen through senior, could all play and go to the so-called Super Bowl for the Southwest Steers. I was a coach for the Southwest Steers, Gary. I did that with my children. We did basketball and all of that. But now our communities have become colonies. And if I say this too caustically, they're going to say it's anti-Asian hate. But you cannot come in my community and set up stores and you don't give anything back? Can it be Mr. Lee's Fish Market sponsored the Colts? Mr. Lee's Colts? Huh? Mr. Ali's Braves? Huh? Mr. Gwyn's All-Stars? Can't you sponsor a little league team? Some money to the YMCA? But if I hold you accountable and say you're taking money out of my community, you're building up your community, and then you don't give nothing back, and then I'm not supposed to say anything? See? And I'll close with this point because I want y'all to talk to Brother Reginald because we talk about this trauma-informed care. You have to understand what's going on with us. So we have to look out for the victims. Some of us need to be locked up because we're taking advantage of the weak and the poor in our community. I'm not going to deny that. But they're not irredeemable. We need to get to them when they're in jail. We need to do prevention before detention, as Brother Reginald's saying is. We need to do that part. We need to redeem them when they're in jail, and we need to take care of the OGs when they come out of jail. We got to rebuild family and community life. Then law enforcement has its part. They can go after the miscreants and the malcontents and the ones who just are not going to do nothing but hurt and harm people. Yeah, there's a problem with the bail. Yeah, there might not be enough police. Yeah, they don't have a homicide solve rate. Yeah, all that's true. All that's true. The judges ain't trying nobody and all that. Whatever excuse they're giving is true. But our truth is that we have to rebuild family and community life, and law enforcement has its part. But we defer too much to law enforcement. We got cops in schools. You get arrested for everything. You don't wear a mask, the cop gonna get you. You do wear a mask, the cop gonna get you. Everything is deferred to law enforcement. We don't want to fund mental health. We don't want to fund our education properly. We don't want to fund health care. We don't want to do nothing. And then when the people cut up and act up, we deindustrialize the country and send all the factories overseas. And then a man don't have a blue collar path to the middle class. What the hell you think he gonna do? He need to eat and feed his family. They're gonna jack and rob. There's a connection between poverty and crime. Give a man a job. Give a man some dignity. And watch and see him. But Reg will tell you at the South, when the South Lawn gang injunction took place, we fought it like hell. We beat them. And they left me and Reg and Jerry standing at the altar, man. Them brothers was ready to change their life. And they didn't give us a dime. So I know what it's like to watch a man die on death row that could have been saved if somebody would have intervened in his life when he was 17 years old. And another one was Odell Barnes, and he was executed in March, I think it was March the 1st, 2002. So there's two men I watched be put to death. And they could have been saved if somebody would have got to them earlier like we're trying to do. Rebuild family, community life, and then law enforcement has a part. But let Reg kick in, man, because he tell you, everybody got their skill set. And go on, bro, Gary, but you know you got me wound up on crunk now. Go.
I know you crunk. Well, let me say, y'all, the best front line I've ever seen in sports and basketball was Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman. You're looking at the best front line to deal with gun violence in the city of Houston. 5-star, Muhammad, and Reginald Gordon. See, in Dr. Muhammad, you have the minister. He gonna make it all make sense. In Reggie, you got the counselor. But he just like me. Me, I'm just an old school gangster. You got the best front line in the city that these cats respect. No matter where we go, no matter where we touch down, from the north side to the south side, if we have the conversation, they back up and they stop. But Reggie, when you say, Doc, we have to give these kids a chance. We have to find the good in them. A long time ago, Reggie, they say you was no good. You were sentenced to 200 years in the Texas Department of Corrections. And ever since you got out, you've been doing the work of the higher power. Let these people know who you is and what you bring to the table.
I want to go back to say what the minister said, you know what I'm saying, in dealing with families, dealing with families and communities. You know, in 1978, I didn't start when I got out in 95. I had already been collecting news articles before I had got out of prison, because in 1978, when I was coming out of solitary confinement, I made a commitment to do something to try to change the direction of young people ending up in the state prison at a teenager's young age. So I put together a program that's all over the world that the state of Texas have made millions of dollars off of. I've worked with thousands of young people. In 1978, I put a program together and took it to the chaplain of Central State Prison called Scared Straight. We took that program and we put that program in units all over Texas. HBO came in and they took it outside and they took it over the world. We did that program for like 15 years in the prison system. I was released in 1995 with some articles that I had saved up while I was in prison. I saved up some articles that came from the city of Houston. It said seeds of trouble during the time of crack cocaine that I've seen that prison system pile up in during the 80s and the 90s. I've seen the brothers that was sentenced down there for residue, 50 years for residue, 2 life sentences for a handful of crack cocaine. So I've seen the devastation that they did to the black community dealing with the crack cocaine and destroying black families. I got out, I put the program together, Operation Outreach OG1, but I had already built up a long-lasting relationship with the Harris County Juvenile Probation Department and dealing with their young people. So I had built a bond with all their so-called young gang members, the daddies of the gang members. And when I was released, I built a relationship back up with the Harris County Juvenile Probation Department. So I've been connected with the children, the daddies, and the grandfathers for the last 35 to 40 years. So I have a long history with our community dealing with gang warfare and gang relationship. I put a program together also once I was released because I understood the pain of the mothers dealing with the loss of their children. For the last 12 to 15 years, I was doing a program in a funeral home called Snuffing Out the Smell of Death. I would fill this funeral home up every Saturday morning with 300 young gang members, so-called the baddest Houston have in the 3rd Ward area, with their mothers, with the mothers sitting in the seats with them, and they're all sweating at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning. Not a fight, not an argument, nothing going on in a funeral home. So we know that the power of leadership in dealing with young people, you can capture their attention if you're talking about something they want to hear. So once you're talking about something our young people want to hear, because it's not that, even though I've worked with brothers, like a brother by the name of Armin Baraka that came into the Texas prison when I was there, he did a survey. I want to go back. He did a survey because he understood that everybody understands 80% of the brothers that's incarcerated have a reading deficiency. They read at a level of 6th to 7th grade level, even though they can't, they functional illiterate, what we call, and while we was in prison. Again, 80% of the brothers have a functional illiterate problem that's incarcerated. It's an embarrassment. It's a shame. It's something that you cover up. It's something that brothers hide. And long as you in that institution and you're dealing with people that treat you less than human, You gather up years of this hateful animosity, and what they do is let them come back to the community. And again, we have to go back to the root cause of the problem if we're going to deal with any this violence that's going on in our community. We have to do like they did in California. They did it in LA. They have a program. Father Gregory Bars is one of the most successful gang leaders in California. He took a program called Homeboy Inc. And Homeboy Inc. have every year they deal with 10,000 brothers cycling out them institutions where he could deal with them in the areas that they feel comfortable and safe in. We have nothing in Houston to where we could point these brothers to other than small, mediocre programs that's watered down, that the brothers don't get the accurate help that they're needing. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, Homeboy Inc. deals with, they have their own individual bakeries. They have their own individual shirt shops. They give these brothers an outlet on how to recreate their lives, rebuild themselves. We have to rehumanize these people if we're going to character and let them back in our community. But again, we're here in the city. I've hit every mayor going back for the last 15 to 30 years trying to get programs and proposals in their hand. Just like the minister said, they have a reason with not putting in a proposal in my hand. I don't know. Maybe they don't want me to reduplicate who I am when I got a track record of turning young brothers' lives around. I have, just like the brother said, I can go into an auditorium, a school, a church, and I can capture 300 of your worst children and have them quiet for the next 2 hours. So therefore, we have the people, the soldiers that's in place that can tackle this violence program. In Dallas, right, last month, they city council passed a violence interruption program. Most major cities are doing violence interruption program based on the same program we proposed to them. That's training brothers with lived experience that know the streets, that know the people that you're dealing with, that you know how to interrupt the violence when it's happening. What I have a problem with in Houston right now, I'm working as a recovery coach. I trained a young white girl. I'm not mad. I know how they do it. I trained a young white girl. They took her away from me. They put her University of Texas took her. They elevated her to the top of one of their programs called the Heroes Program. Houston dealing with the opioid, the white kids in their opioid movement. They took her, they elevated, they gave her $2 million to put the opioid heroes program together. They gave her a bus, a wrapped up, fixed up bus that she can drive around Houston. She got a beautiful office in the Texas Medical Center. And she go from bridge, she go to communities, helping little white kids that's the OD'd on opioids, putting them in treatment centers, doing the same thing that we're trying to do with little black kids that they still have a problem with us trying to save our children. But they don't have no problem with investing in their children. So we have a major problem here in the city of Houston, and we're going to have to figure out how do we reinvent, how do we relook at this thing called institutions and prisons, and how do we directly deal with the school system, the juvenile system, and the prison system to deal specifically, and I'm going to say it clear, I'm not talking about people of color. I'm talking about specifically dealing with black boys first, and everybody else get on board.
Well, let me say this here. I was amazed the first time, you know, and the crazy part is we never practiced the first time we did a peace summit. We were blessed to get a building by Pastor Remus Wright, who told us to go in there and say whatever the hell you need to say. No practice, no nothing. We did what we were great at. And when we finished that day, people were walking out of that room in tears because everybody had a responsibility. The greatest day that I've seen, we went to Wisdom High School. And Wisdom is the United Nations of high schools in the city of Houston. Every nationality you could think of, every immigrant, they all reside in Wisdom High School. And then a couple of weeks after that, I got an inbox from the principal at the time, Mr. Jonathan Trent, who told me to tell the team, ever since y'all set foot on this campus, gang violence has decreased significantly. So we couldn't get in Wisdom unless we give the credit to former Superintendent Dr. Grenita Lathan, who allowed us not to just go into wisdom, but to go into Yates, to go into Cullen. We went into Cullen, we figured out they didn't have a library. All of a sudden, they got a state-of-the-art library. You see what I'm saying? We went into several schools, Madison High School, Sterling, Worthing. We can sit there and captivate these children to the point that I told one of them one day, like, man, I need to get these gang tattoos off me. Man, as long as you out the gang, I don't care what you got on you. You keep that on as a reminder of where you came from. So what you sitting here watching is three brothers that have put a plan together. It has a price tag, $900,000 a year. We're not getting rich off that price tag. But I want to say this here because the minister's here. He's a man of God. To all you men of God out there, we done tried nonprofits. We done tried police intervention. We done tried everything under the sun. We even tried Jesus. And ain't nothing working. But you got a 21-page comprehensive plan that can work anywhere. Anywhere. No matter what city we take it to, it's going to work. And the crazy part, Demetri and Donovan, and y'all chime in. I don't want you to just sit there quiet. The doc answered it. I know why they don't want me to do it. Man, do you understand what we will do to this man's reputation if we decide to work with him? He's the chief headache of everybody. And if we work with him, man, we finna make this man a rock star. It ain't about that with me. It ain't about that with me. Do you understand how traumatic it is for Reggie or me or Doc to show up at a murder scene and we knew the kid laying on the ground. We knew the kid laying on the ground. What they did to us with South Lawn, I can never forgive them. Because them gangsters shut it down. And all they wanted was some reassurance that, okay, if I take this dope money out my hand, then what y'all got planned for us so we can do something legal. That's all they wanted. That's all they wanted. But now you're sitting on the cusp. You riding your little Titanic. You can see that iceberg, but you playing games. You think you can turn at the last minute with this thing. You think if you go get you 4,000 or 5,000 more police officers, it's going to be all right. Your problem is Harris County is too big. It doesn't matter how many cops you got. If you provide no resources to help these people better themselves, then the only thing I can tell you, I can't tell a man not to eat. He gonna do whatever he got to do to eat. Demetri?
Hello, Mr. Gordon. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. How about yourself?
I'm well. You know, I'm from Southern California, and I am familiar with Homeboy Industries with Father Greg. And for those of you guys who don't know who Father Greg is, he is a white man. He is a white man that, you know, obviously did the opposite of the white girl you were talking about. He actually stayed in the neighborhoods, and he is helping Black and brown, you know, and some, you know, white guys too who have been in prison and gangs and stuff like that. So just thought that was interesting that you brought that up because I am familiar with that. But how do you feel about Joe Biden? Because you spoke about the crack cocaine era, the 80s and 90s, and you saw the prison system swell up. So how do you feel about him? You know, as he said in his own words, he is the author of every major and minor crime bill since 1976.
Well, you know, I'm asking that question because I worked for a politician for 10 years, and I kind of, by me sitting in the room, understanding how they operate and work, and knowing that the same community that politician come up out of has been in that condition for the last 35 years. So if I see from my own local politicians that won't even invest in their community, I know that they have a big agenda, and I've seen that they have a big agenda and not funding brothers like me that they know have the skills, have the talent, and can change lives. Like the minister said, I don't know if these people are disconnected, because I see that it's sad to say that crime sales and crime in Texas was one of the great promoters of a lot of the politicians. They was running on the balance of violence. So the more violence it got, the more positions they took in that area. So a lot of them definitely didn't want crime to go away, because a lot of them was getting elected on violence and crime in our neighborhood. And I'm gonna say that to say this here, dealing with that crack cocaine area, when it have been recorded that I spoke with the brother Rick Ross. Rick Ross come down here, and me and him did a couple of workshops together. And from what Rick Ross was telling me, that he was working through the government to flood our neighborhoods with the crack cocaine. It's going back like we here in Texas now. These people are setting us up with this gun law. If the other day, one of the homeless brothers had a shootout. So if the homeless is getting guns, if this how it's going to be in the next couple of months. If the homeless is having shootouts, they're flooding our community with these guns like they do in Chicago, putting them in these boxes in the alleys for us to self-destruct. So we are in a serious position dealing with the people that's not want to invest back in the community, because they're riding on our pain and our suffering to keep them seats in office. They don't care nothing about our pain and suffering. I'm like I said, I've been battling, and it's been a mark to me to close down South Lawn, because my blood is on the ground in the South Lawn apartments. My nephew was shot 22 times in that apartment complex. And the sad thing about it, by me still not fighting, the mothers that still is forced to live in there still call me saying that they have to sleep in the bathtub at night on top of their children, because the guns and the bullets are coming through the walls. So we are in a serious spot to where we gonna have to make some major decisions and put some major pressure on people, or find somebody that love us enough that would donate some money like Harry Belafonte did to the Martin Luther King. But we need some brothers that's gonna put some money under the table to us to do the work, so we can get this thing rolling without these people involved in our life. Because again, a lot of them, if they want to give you money, they want you to be their yes man. And we can't do the work saving black boys being the yes man, because black children, black boys specifically, know when you come with a script to tell them what to do. When they see you fake and phony, they shut you down, they won't listen to you, and you lose them.
Dr. Muhammad, I got a question with you now. And, and I think it's I don't know, philosophical question. I don't know. It's just something that we already know. But, you guys worked with Chief Finner, and, you guys were in the streets with him, and you guys seen his career just move, in a blessed way. Now he's at the top of the pile in Houston. And a lot of our black leaders that start out as street fighters, they, years go by and they raise up and they get a position of power, and then they become ineffective. Could you kind of tell us, why does that happen to good people with good hearts, but when they get to the top of the food chain or in the system, they become ineffective? But at a lower level, they were great. But once they get to the mountaintop, they become basically ineffective.
It's because when you're chief of police, it's more political than it is anything else. It's a political post. So if anything happens in the city, you'll see the mayor and the police chief standing beside him. It's more of a political post. And then you have to deal with, once you're in the chief spot, you now become the top manager of the paramilitary organization. And you have to deal with the police union, the rank and file police union. That's a whole different thing. Then you have to deal with the politicians. And there's a whole, and then every word that you speak and say, the media is looking at it. So, and then if a policeman gets hurt, you have to be there and you have to speak, that you bleed blue. So there's so many different dimensions. It's not like Donovan, it's not like a binary, black, white, right, wrong, hot, cold. It's more like a multi-dimensional and multifaceted Game of Thrones. Because there's all kind of players, all kind of things going on. And, unfortunately, I believe at the core of Troy Finner's heart, if he could write us a check for $2 million, he would do it tomorrow. I'll believe that until somebody proves it otherwise. but he got too many constraints. Because in truth, there's so many dollars that they give him out of the taxpayers' coffers. But they have a whole department that literally writes grants from the Justice Department. Justice Department's got billions of dollars on the street, and they write grants. But these grants, as Reg is saying, there's strings attached. There's certain things you can and cannot do with the money. So what we do, they'd have to find a grant or something that's specifically for, and then you got to go through all of the bureaucracy of the city, and you got to dot every I and cross every T, and if you spend the money wrong, then you got to pay the money back. So they all scared of scandal and all that kind of stuff, man. But look here, brother. I don't look good in County Orange. I don't look good in TDC White. I don't look good in federal khakis. So I don't play with them people's money. But the bottom line is, and I'll make this statement before God and anybody else. I'm going to tell you just like this. Brother Reginald's nephew, that brother, that veteran that got shot over there in South Lawn, in the eyes of God, their blood is worth more than every piece of real estate in Houston and Harris County. We could have saved those lives. We could have saved lives. If we could have saved one life, isn't it worth it? It's not like we start working, we're still working. But if you got some where it could be a force multiplier and we could work together, but no, they'll fund low-hanging fruit that's politically correct and acceptable. But not the street fighters. They're not going to give no money to the street fighters. I'm not complaining. It is what it is. And maybe that's what keeps us credible, Gary. Maybe, in a sense, OG, maybe we need to rethink this thing. And we need to find a way for us to be tree shakers and jelly makers and allow somebody from not necessarily us, but somebody connected with us to make some real money and fund what we need to get funded. And that way they'll know the code of the street is if we steal, we pay for it. But if we got to keep going back to these people, because it don't even make sense. How could you watch this carnage on the street and know, brother Gary has put this plan in people's hands. I put it in their hand. I've emailed it to people. Now there's money coming down, but the hoops you got to jump through just for some chump change, man. It just don't make no sense. We got a $900,000 budget.
Let me say this, Doc.
Go ahead, man.
You're right. Folks got to jump through hoops. And I love your passion tonight because I get to see it, y'all, when y'all don't. But I'm glad he's showing it to you tonight. No, we got to jump through hoops. They partners they been giving the money to, they ain't have to jump through no hoops. All the pastors they gave money to, all the organizations that say they could do what we did, they didn't jump through no hoops. And I'm like you. I believe Troy has a heart. Because, Reggie, you ain't the only one to lose a nephew. Chief Fenner, you lost 2 of them to gang violence. And sometimes, brother, it don't matter who you work for. You're going to have to step on their toes some days. That's why I can't do corporate America. Because I would tell you take your job and stick it where the sun don't shine if I got to get out here and do what I need to do for my people. I have no desire to be a career politician. I have no desire to sell out my community. And the thing is, what does it take? We're talking about human life. We got babies being killed. You got innocent women going to work out in the morning being killed. Death does not have a race right now in the city of Houston. They're killing everything that's moving. And you've tried everything, and I get it. Doc and Reggie, y'all know we talk all the time. They don't like me. But we can be like the Temptations, Mr. Mayor and City Council. David Ruffin and Otis ain't never get along. We could be like the Temptations. We ain't got to get along. But we just need to sing together on certain days. But what, like you say, and what he's basically telling y'all, there is no excuse for this to keep going on when you have a plan that can actually work. Reggie?
Well, like I said, I done tried my best, you know what I'm saying? Like they not gonna stop me because this was a mission that God gave me a blessing to get out that institution. When I made them commitments that I was gonna continue to do this work regardless of dealing with the people, I made that commitment. I've been faithful to this thing for the last 40 years, you know, on doing the work. It just hurts my heart when I deal with young brothers that I got to pick up off the ground and help their families find some way to bury them. So, and when I know that it would have been, if I had the right resources to put the brother in the right place to get him some adequate job that he can deal with, because I'm telling you, a lot of these brothers that we deal with, that I deal with personally, a lot of these brothers have no skills to work on a 9 to 5. They can't work for nobody else. They have to work for black men to give them the skills and the courage and deal with them in their behavior, because they come out of traumatically broke down families. And we got to deal with the trauma, like Brother Minister said. We got to deal with my grandfather's trauma that's in me. You know what I'm saying? Not only my grandfather's trauma that's in me that he passed down through my daddy, we got to deal with what these young brothers wake up to every day and got to survive in. And until we deal with that problem and go to the basis of what's going on with black people and quit accepting a holiday to keep us happy, you know what I'm saying? And keep us satisfied with a holiday, just keep them quiet. We always take that keep them quiet message. And next thing you know, other areas of our community, something happened to where everybody are uproar, and we'll be back in the position that we're in. Like, you know, I have no problem with the George Floyd movement. They've been trying to get me and trying to convince me to run the George Floyd Community Center across the street from Yates. I have no interest in running another center. I want to run a center that's going to strictly work with black boys to teach them how to become black men and strong black leaders in their community. And if I can't have that power to where I can teach black boys to be strong black leaders, to replicate the person that I am, if I came through it and know that there's hope and I did it, nobody can tell me that it can't be done in our community. Violence is a learned behavior. Violence is a learned behavior, and they can be unlearned that behavior. And just like the mayor of Chicago, I'm gonna say this here, if we can get somebody to declare racism is a public health disease. Racism is a public health disease. Maybe we get somebody to invest some money into us, and we can go from that area to get some money back in the neighborhoods. But like I said, we have some politicians in this city I don't know what it is to get them to say that if we invest back in the community, our community will invest back in us. So that's where I'm at.
I think that, out of everybody sitting up here, and of course, I don't have a problem saying it. I work both sides of the aisle in politics. I'm going to sit down with some of my other people who got the finance and the money, and I make it make sense to them. I make it make sense to the room full of white Republicans because it's simple. And Doc, you can relate to this. Reggie, you can too. Remember, we kept telling them about the gang issue, and it wasn't a gang problem in Houston until Lindsay was murdered by Lamar High School, and it was gang related. All of a sudden, we had an epidemic on our hands. Now, I want you good conservative folk out there to realize something. When the Negroes wake up and figure out it ain't nobody to rob in the black community, they ain't put no gate around yours. They coming to your house. They coming to your community. So if you have the resources, reach out to us. This is not a game. We know what we're doing. We get calls every day. I got 2 summits set up in Lafayette and Baton Rouge because these people like, man, we need some help. And they know it's real. So if you got the funding, we need some help because we can't seem to get it from our own people who done got millions and millions of dollars of grant money in the last 3 to 5 years. Close to $80 million in grant money that these people have gotten and haven't poured a dime into the black community. And what's so sad, you don't have, the black community is only good for you when it's election time and you can put your campaign office on the Scott Street corridor. But one of y'all live on the Scott Street corridor. as a politician. What it felt like that day when them dudes ran up in your house and tied your people up. Yeah, because it ain't gonna be off limits to nobody. I'm just at a point where the excuses got to go out the window. Y'all are playing politics, and this city has become so dangerous. It is not wise for women to go out and do anything outside of their car by themselves anymore. They can't pump gas. They can't go to the mall. Nothing. It's ridiculous.
Well, again, you know, the salute. Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh,
can you hear me? Okay.
You're good. You're good.
Okay, good. You know, again, it boils down to not treating every interaction with the police as a criminal justice issue. If we would take the approach of trauma-informed care, then in some cases it's a mental health issue. Some cases it's just a basic economics issue. If we would let the people who do what they do those things, and then allow the police to go after those who really are hardcore, the crime rate would flatten and go down. See, even the conservatives know that they were bankrupt in the country. They realize, looking at the demography and the trajectory, if you keep locking up people, putting felonies on people, they can never become high wage earners. So who then is going to pay the Social Security taxes? Who's going to pay into the pension systems? Who's going to be able to pay the sales tax and the gas tax and the property taxes to be able to pay for infrastructure? So as white people get older, and as the 1% wants to keep all the uber rich money to themselves and gut the middle class, and then pull up the ladder so that there's no blue collar ladder to the middle class, then who's going to pay the bill? And if if Biden is successful in adding trillions of dollars to the debt and the deficit, and there's going to be no additional revenue taxes to come in, then what are you doing? Who is it that we're borrowing this money when we float these bonds? Who are you borrowing the money from, America? And the IRS becomes a collection agency. And if you talk too crazy about the Federal Reserve, then the FBI becomes the enforcer. And then if you talk about the people who are involved with it, then next thing you know, you're getting called a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center or the Anti-Defamation League. Damn. Brothers and sisters, we're in a heck of a fix. But here's the solution. The solution is that we have to determine among ourselves and put together like brother OG once said, an unapologetically black agenda. Unapologetically, I'm not apologizing. Because the insurance companies don't apologize. Big Pharma doesn't apologize. Those who are pro-Israel don't apologize. Those in the police union don't apologize. Those who are for constitutional carry or gun rights don't apologize. Those who are LGBTQ don't apologize. These people don't apologize for their agenda. Why should we? Why should we? We have to have some lines in the sand that don't cross this line in the sand. This is what we want. See, our whole politics is backwards. Politics without economics is simple without substance, Mr. Farrakhan said. So, as long as our politicians have to go downtown for their money, or the west side for their money, and come to our side of the town for their vote, who pays the piper calls the tune? Who are they going to respond to? And then if the black community rises up, they get a call from them people that gave them money and tell them, you need to calm them Negroes down. What are they doing? When they have this press conference? What's this protest? What are they doing? And they come in and they song and dance, and it's almost a drum major instinct. Some of us be leading these protesters, and then they'll run up and jump in front of it like they leading it. Man, I'm telling you, I'm going to say it like this to our own leadership, whom I love them, I've worked with them all these years. But it's getting to the point the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, one day our leaders are going to be dragged down the street on the back of flatbed trucks, chained on the back of flatbed trucks, and people are going to be throwing trash at them. Now get that picture in your mind. Because the people are sick and tired of putting black faces in high places and getting no results. So here's what's being set up, and I know we're closing, Gary, but here's what's being set up over these next few years. Houston's going to be made to appear to be unmanageable, and you're going to elect a Donald Trump type white man. Now, he may be a Democrat, but he's going to have to talk that tough on crime stuff. And he can't listen to us whining and crying about the police coming in and cracking our heads. He ain't gonna hit it because he got to respond to the people, the money people in this city, the old money people in this city that want, because crime is bad for business. So brothers and sisters, look, we have to be the 10,000 feelers the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan called for. You got 3 of them on the line right here. We don't mind getting in between the gangs and the guns and putting our life on the line and our reputation on the line. And what protects us isn't that we necessarily strapped and whatnot. Well, I can't speak for everybody. but I know from my teachings, it's a good name is better than precious gold and silver. So we got good names. And we can go into places where angels fear to tread, where policemen got to go in with backup and Batman utility belts and mace and clubs and shotguns and all of that. But we can go in with a good word and our reputation. So look, we have to now focus on the things I talked about, which is family and community life. And we have to now do the things that we got to do, whatever that is we got to do to end the food deserts, to make sure we close the technology gap, to bring blue collar and green collar jobs to our community, to improve the educational system, Brother Gary, what you're doing, to do the street work that Brother Reg is talking about, dealing with the trauma of these families. We got to be a village. We have to do this. And if we do this, we'll do our part. And there are conservative people. I won't put good in front of them. They're I don't do conservative liberal because to me, white supremacy rules all of them. As long as it's their agenda and they're in charge, they'll do whatever you want them to do. But self-preservation is the first law of nature. So if they see that by helping others, they help themselves, they will. They'll do it. Because they all talk that game. Like I said, the Candace Owens, Thomas Sowell, Shelby Steele, they talk that good game. But they don't have no programs. They're not on the street. They're not doing the do like we do to do. But, they're going to try to tie us to liberals and all that kind of stuff. Liberals don't like us either. Because we're the do-for-self kind of people. And liberals are like nanny state. They're like maternalistic. It's like, oh, how could you, after I helped you all this time, could you talk to me like that? No, we want to do something for self. And then we don't like them fathers know best conservatives. Pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. And you got all the boots and the straps, and you got a son-in-law that's dumb as a bag of rocks. And you don't want your daughter coming back to the house, so you'll go to the bank and give him a loan so he can run the construction company. But he's dumber than a bag of rocks, but you got the wherewithal to go and co-sign a loan, but you won't come and mentor none of us in our community so we can get us some bootstraps and pull up the rest of our people. And then lastly, some of these brothers, like I said, they pick up the apples off the ground. They benefit from those who paid the price for them. And they won't even look after them, but they will say a good word after they're dead and come give them a proclamation or flag or something after the people dead at the funeral. But they rarely give us flowers while we live. I'm not intending to go out like that. I don't want to see Gary go out like that. And I don't intend to see Reg go out like that. That's one thing. We've got a covenant among us of going out in these streets and trying to save at least one life. If we can save one life, we don't know who we might have saved. We might have saved Martin Luther King. We might have saved Malcolm X. We might have saved Minister Farrakhan. We might have saved Fannie Lou Hamer. We might have saved Rosa Parks. We don't know who it is that we're saving out there, but we're going to save some life because all of them got the potential to be great because they are God's children. And we believe it and we're going to do all that we can to save lives. So y'all can take it and let it alone.
So I mean, if y'all don't mind, we let's just roll. We ain't gonna take too much of y'all time. The question is do we have a team? Yeah, I'm on the south side of Houston. I can walk in the inner neighborhood and do what I do. Reggie, he known all over the city. The best part of this is the north side, which the violent crime and murder, it was 64%. Now it's 164% higher than the national average. We have a sister that's with us. Her name is Cash. And if you're from the north side, you know about them 9-block boys. How can a female walk into a neighborhood and make the dudes put the guns down? We got a team that know how to do this. But here's the thing. Even when the floods were coming, in the Bible, a lot of people didn't take heed. You didn't take heed. Right now, it's raining in Houston. And right now, you're looking at your 3 boats. Muhammad, 5-Star, and Reggie. Them your 3 boats. You can play the game all you want. But I firmly remember sitting in city council 3 years ago telling you they're going to change the name of this city to Chicago, Texas. Because you're going to pass Chicago in a lot of different areas. And you have slowly just crept up on Chicago and you passed them in a lot of areas. You black politicians should be ashamed of yourself. Doc, I want to make sure that before November, I got to run for school board, but I'm going to give you an envelope and it's going to have about 5,000-10,000 in it. And I need you to hold that because I'm going to go to jail. If you Negroes think you're going to come into our neighborhoods pandering for votes after all this that went on, I'm getting thrown out of every function that you give. And if I got to go to jail for it, I don't care anymore. These kids don't have to die, man. They don't have to die. They have nowhere to go. Reggie, you remember when we was young? We had somewhere we could be in the summertime. We could leave the house all day. Our mama knew where we was. Wasn't no drama. We had somewhere to be. But while I was in that old YMCA across from Yates, I learned how to fill out a job application. My first job was in that building. Sheldon Stovall gave me my first job, and everybody was laughing, but they were still trying to get to Astroworld and get a job. You know, fast food was a thing back then. But I was a janitor. They was laughing, but I was getting a paycheck every week. So when I got ready to go off to college, my mama didn't have to pay anything for me. I made all my own money. These guys want to make a decent living. They want to get out the streets, but you have to supplement the dope money. Reggie?
Yeah, I'm going to say this here on this here. You know what I'm saying? That I deal with juveniles. For the last 5 years, I've been doing this recovery coach work in the drug area, trying to figure out why do mostly the young black boys smoke marijuana. Well, they're not smoking the marijuana we smoked when we grew up, the stuff that we used to say come from the grind and ground. They smoking this stuff called synthetic, chemically made drugs that's designed in labs. So remember, 60% of the ODs in the hospital come from chemically designed drugs that these children. Texas is ranked number 2. Listen what I'm saying. Texas is ranked number 2 from the Poison Control Center from these children smoking this stuff from the lab that's being made in. Again, 73% of young black boys since this, before the pandemic and after the 73% of our young black boys between the age of 12 to 25 is committing suicide. It's quietly kept. But again, the mission for black boys is to disappear. And the world and black boys know that's the mission because it's too clear and the setup is right in our face that we don't want to challenge. They're passing the gun law, HB 127, HB 1927. That is a law to make sure that every young black boy, even your ex-offenders, can have a gun accessible to himself and his girlfriend. So when the argument starts, we don't talk about the argument, we start shooting. This is the talk I hear on the street.
Let me ask you something. Both of you guys up here, even Demetri and Donovan, They're walking around on their press tour saying they walked out because of HB7 and the voter integrity laws is what I call it. They call it Jim Crow 2.0. They walked out, they killed it. Reggie, why they didn't walk out on that gun bill law? Why they didn't walk out on that gun bill law?
Well, I seen. Did you see the record numbers? I'd heard the minister talk about it, but the record numbers of gun sales in Texas was 16 million in the last. I mean, so we again, those that look like us that we're sitting here talking about that won't invest back in our children. Those are some of the same scary people that's pushing the guns because they understand that they haven't done anything in the community. And just like you said, they know that they're coming after them. Our children are coming after them and they know it. So therefore, they're not going to stop the gun law because they're going to want to be in a position to where they want to do just like the police are doing to our young brothers. I've seen him. I thought he had a gun because, again, it's going to be wild, wild west in the city in the next couple. Some haven't made it yet. We barely getting into the summer heat. And I'm with the young people all the time. It's almost like an excitement to know that everybody's allowed to pack a pistol now. And again, it don't go well with the new designer drugs that they smoking every day. We are in trouble. We got to know, how do we come together, put a plan together? We still can save our community, but if we don't get out there and do something on the front end, our young people will turn on us because they have seen and they're tired and they're fed up of even the people that look like them turning their backs on them. So it's a lot of work to be done. We have to do it. We have to get in these schools, get in the families. We have to get in their ear because, again, we have to teach them who they are, whom they are, minister, and where they come from. That will save me. History saved me because history connected me to who I was and what my purpose was and what my values are and who I got to fight for and whose shoulders I stand on. And until young people know that there's value within them and they stand on mighty shoulders, young people, they don't mind because they don't look for the tomorrow to show up to them. So it's not too late for us not to be back in the streets. We got a workshop. I'm with Brother Derek this weekend, the Smarten Up Summit. I'm going to work with Brother Derek this weekend, working with young brothers to train them, to teach them at the Smarten Up Summit. We got some things that's working here. We just got to get the people to support us, to get behind us, to educate these brothers. Information saved my life. Information saved my life. And the more information came to me, the stronger I became, the more vision I seen. And once I seen the vision, I had a purpose. So we got to put the information out there to educate our community and our young brothers and our sisters. Because again, we deal with some young ladies out at the treatment center. They more ruthless and radical than the boys. So we have work to do, and we have to save our community if we're going to do anything in these next coming years.
Demetria, please say something, sister. Need your energy.
Actually tonight I'm just listening. I actually just got home from California this morning, so I'm operating on about an hour of sleep. No, but I mean, I don't think there's really anything else to say. But Dr. Muhammad, I did want to ask you if you knew anything about the Big Six, because you talked about how they get the Negro leaders to come back to the communities and keep everybody docile. And that's what they did with the Big Six. A. Philip Randolph, Martin Luther King, and John Lewis was among them. From what I understand, they were given a lot of money by the Kennedy administration to say, go back to their organizations that make it look like they were about civil rights and bringing change. But really, their role was just to keep Black people docile and stop them from tearing things up. So can you speak about that, and then really how it's still, well, you already did, but going on today?
Well, there's always been two sides to our struggle. And a dilemma is having to make a choice between two evils or two undesirable outcomes. So there's always been those of us who would jump off the slave ship would fight, would rebel. We didn't just settle for slavery. That's why there is a Second Amendment. And they needed militias because those were actually the slave patrols to make sure that the slaves did not rebel. They outnumbered the whites in the South. That's the root of the Second Amendment, part of it, at least. I'll put it like that. We wanted separation, we wanted repatriation, and we wanted reparations. That's one side of the equation. The other side of the equation was accommodation, integration, and assimilation. All right. So when both of these, I had to choose between that. And if you ever seen that movie, it was talking about Lyndon Johnson, and he was talking about Malcolm X, that crazy nigga Malcolm X. See, what it was saying, what that Hollywood was telling you was that side of the equation, that Booker T. Washington, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, that Marcus Garvey, that Denmark Vesey, that David Walker, that Noble Drew Ali, that Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that Louis Farrakhan side of the equation, that Black Panther side of the equation, that Black Liberation Army side of the equation, that reparations, that National Organization for Reparations. Now, no, we can't talk to them. Let's talk to those who believe in non-economic liberalism. So we're going to talk to them because that's the lesser of two evils. And by the time we get them where we want to get them, we get rid of the other ones. So COINTELPRO, while Dr. King was there talking to Martin Luther King, to LBJ about the Voters' Rights Act and all those stuff, at the same time, J. Edgar Hoover, his Attorney General, Bobby Kennedy, was signing off on J. Edgar Hoover, wiretapping him and pulling dirty tricks on him. And the government was murdering our leaders and setting us up. We're only finding out about this now, and the same thing going on now. But now the dog is turned on them. Now it's the white extremists that they ignored, and it's them. It's their own people. So, sister, I'll put it like this. They could help, but they're afraid. They're afraid because every one of them, they got something on, every one of them. See, don't think that Jeffrey Epstein or whatever his name was, there were some black people at them freaky parties too. You know, don't think that Putin's just got something on Trump. A lot of people got a lot of stuff on everybody. But Dr. King didn't give a damn what they had on him. He said, go on and do what you got to do. I got to do what I got to do. At a certain point in time, brothers and sisters, we can't be afraid of death, being exposed, or whatever, jail, or whatever it takes to see our people free. And I have a good relationship with the original Black Panthers. So I sit with them and I listen to them. And I watch us, even in our own movement on that other side of the equation, make the same mistakes. We beefing with each other on social media. We doing all kind of crazy stuff, man. We don't understand that these people use metadata. Go watch the movie Snowden. Hell, you wouldn't text or call or tweet another damn thing about somebody else knowing how these people collect your data and do what they do. And then what's his name? Cambridge Britannica, whatever his name was, one of these companies, man, they know how to use algorithms to know who to send your messages to, who your audience is and all of that. Don't you know that when you Google something on your phone, say you look at kidney beans, you look on your damn timeline on Facebook and you see kidney beans popping up. They selling your data. And you and I put it all out. They can everything. They can know everything they can about me. I ain't got nothing to hide. I don't give a damn. Because you know, in the end, brothers and sisters, you and I need to wake up and put some work in on these streets. Social media has its place. Digital domain has its place. But there ain't nothing like getting out here and pressing the flesh and doing the precautions that we need to take in order to touch our people. As brother, this weekend, of course, is the annual summit, Black Male Summit that Brother Derek puts on. Brother Gary going into Louisiana. I was in Monroe last weekend. I'm going into Shreveport at the end of July.
No,
to do it.
this weekend, I partnered with Michael Moore that owns a stuffed baked potato factory.
My
And
man.
we got like 2 buses of young black athletes that we're taking to the football camp up at Prairie View. We're taking them to a football camp. That's what they want to do. We got to support them.
Yeah, well, I mean, you Mike Moore, man. He conscious, brother. He conscious. He got a little cheddar now, and it ain't just the cheddar he puts on his baked potatoes. He got a little cheddar now, and he's always. I'm watching his social media posts. He's always looking to do something. So I thank him for me, brother, and tell him I send my love and greetings. I know, Mike. But we really need to put our heads together. I'm not complaining anymore. I'm resigned to the fact that we're going to do with whatever resources we have that God blesses us with, and we're going to make a difference so that nobody can ever accuse us of not telling the people the truth and not doing the work. If you want to help me. If you don't want to help us, then fine. Just let us know. Be honest. Don't smile in our face and shake our hand and say, I hear you, and then do nothing. Because every time I see one of these people killed on the street, and I notice our children, I see their pictures on the video, Crime Stoppers will pay a so-and-so reward for information leading to, and you look at the brother, he got a mask on, hell, you don't know who the hell he is, but you know he's a brother. So that young man's life is through. When he gets caught, Reg, you know his life is through. He's taken a life, he's jacked and robbed somebody, and now his life is through. So there's 2 families now that's going to be crying. The one of the victim and the other one of that boy that's going to jail for all them years. Let's do the work. The reward will come.
Well, we got some work to do. July 31st. I'm just waiting on confirmation of the building. Since the north side is the problem, the front line coming to the north side, man. Now, here's the thing. If you've never been to one of our peace summits, when we close the door, we have a real conversation. So if you got a weak heart or you don't want to hear the truth, you don't need to show up. We're going to invite every elected official in the city and the county. You need to come in, you need to listen. Because the games need to stop being played. But I don't think that they'll move until one of their family members get murdered. Once one of theirs get murdered, then all of a sudden we have an epidemic. We got a problem. So July 31st, we're going to take the blinders off and we're finna go do what we great at doing. So if you got a kid and you, as a parent, you're trying to figure it out, you make sure you don't miss Reggie's segment because he's going to break it all the way down. If you're a punk parent, you don't want to miss my segment because I'm going to make you feel it. And the good doctor normally runs the ankle. So it's really 4 of us that go at it. And I don't think y'all ready for Calandra because she lost her son. And from the day she lost him, she ain't took a break yet. So you're going to get it from every angle. But the doctor, he runs the ankle. And I want to say this because, no matter what we do, we can be great at what we do. As African Americans, black people. Sha'Carri Richardson, I know somebody that knows that young lady about Dallas Carter. The only thing I can tell them, Reggie and Doc, the hood going to Tokyo. If you don't like her hair, you don't like her nails, she don't care. She that fast. So when you think about it, no matter if you give us the tools, we can be some of the best astronauts. You see what I'm saying? We can be some of the best attorneys. Don't even go to sports because we can beat you in golf. We kicking your ass on the gymnastics side now. All black gymnastics team. I get it.
And swimming now, Jerry.
Everything. Tennis. No matter what we touch, we that good. But I tell you what, if anybody want to tell the truth, especially in the school system, tell us how many of them former gang members went across that stage this month. How many of them that was supposed to be dead that went across that stage? Because them the babies that we started with 4 years ago. And a whole bunch of them left that life alone and went across that stage. It's time out for the faking. Final thoughts, Donovan.
Oh man, whenever the minister and Reggie come on the show, I just love to listen and learn. And that's a thing that I was always told: when wisdom speaks, you listen. And I'm just happy to have them on the show. Happy to have Demetra back. And again, this was everybody saying to give us 30 more minutes and stuff like that. This is why the War Zone does what it does. We try to give you guys the information and give you guys the people that is out there doing the actual work. So big ups to Dr. Muhammad and Reggie OG1.
Final thoughts, Demetra?
No, I like to piggyback off of what Donovan said. We should always be taking notes when we have such wisdom in the building. And, I agree with you, Dr. Muhammad. It's time to stop, complaining and talking about it. It's really time to do something, come up with a plan and then execute that plan. So absolutely. And thank you, Reggie OG, for coming on, and please come back again.
Final thoughts, Reggie?
Talking to me? Hello? Everybody froze on me.
Final thoughts, Reggie?
I just want to say, when the men stand up, all the boys will sit back down. When the men in the neighborhood and the community stand up, our boys will take their place and they take their rightful place and sit back down. That's all I want to say.
Final thoughts, Doc?
They, them, and theirs can never overcome us, our, and we if we only subordinate I, me, and mine. Get the truth, get organized, and get free. And guess what? We love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Assalamu alaikum.
My final thoughts are very, very simple. The Negro still is not free. He still is not free. But I tell you what, on July 31st, we're going to let you know where it's going to be. And Demetra, this is going to shock you. I'll put the suit on because I can't let Doc outdress me. So if y'all want to see me in the suit, I have my suit on. But we're going to leave it on the floor. We're going to bring the whole team, and then you're going to understand. During this pandemic, I learned something, and then I'm going to get up out of here. They say to deal with the pandemic and every aspect of it, they had to deal with the experts. We're in the middle of a pandemic in Harris County, and you looking at the three best experts to ever have to deal with it. It is what it is. We come from where they come from, and they respect us, and they'll do what we need them to do. But like Reggie said earlier, when they think you faking, they ain't finna deal with it, man. Say it's the reason why we the best in the building. It's the War Zone every night from 7 o'clock until we get tired. On Facebook and YouTube, I want to thank my good friend Donovan Sadiq, the Queen Demetra K, our guest Reginald OG1, Dr. Abdul Halim Muhammad, and I am the 5-star general. Until tomorrow night, we'll holler at you.